Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for coming. This is a really exciting day because I'm here with Judy Van Nykerk. She is my mentor, and I just spent 3 days, well, five total in Mexico with her and this is not an exaggeration, and Judy can attest to this because I'm perfectly clear. We're going to talk about what that means. They were the most powerful 3 days of my life, the best 3 days of my life. Like,
Yeah.
hands down, 36 and a half years. I've had a lot of incredible experiences. I've had many beautiful experiences, but they were without a doubt the best 3 days of my life. The only days that meet that day were the birth of my children.
Ah!
Like, I mean, it was that powerful.
It was rocketing, wasn't it? It was like,
I mean, to experience. Let's see, I started working with Judy in September, end of
yes,
September.
yeah, last September. Yeah.
And and I met you through Andrea Franco, beautiful Andrea. And initially Andrea was like, you have to work with her because I think that you're gonna get it. Like, it's going to make sense to you. You're gonna feel it. It's perfect for you. And I trusted and believed, and she was right. And I've learned so much on my journey with you. Um, but the primary goal has been connecting to my authentic self,
Your truth.
my truth. And Judy, do you want to explain that a little more for everyone here?
Wow. Yeah, it was an extraordinary experience. It really was. And where we went on the journey, like we could not have imagined
No.
what came out, what we explored, what we found, what we discovered. Um, and it's amazing, actually, when you think about it, Maria. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love you so much.
I
I'm
love
so
you.
deeply, deeply inspired by you and the extent to which you grabbed it, because it can get uncomfortable at times, can't it?
Yeah.
Right? You just grabbed it, and because you knew, like you knew this felt like home, right?
Yeah.
But so the funny thing is, what about this work is that you're never too far away from your truth,
I love that. Yeah.
but you
Thank you.
feel like you're 100 million miles away. And because you feel like you are 100 million miles away, it is that.
Correct.
But you're not. You're actually way closer because your work will continue to be what it already is, only amplified. Your life will already be what it is, only amplified. Everything that you experience and feel will be already what it is, only amplified, and just like a minuscule degree more on point to your authentic, true expression, your
Exactly.
uniqueness.
Yeah.
And now you are clear as well, to see all the ways in which we get energetic interference, and it slips in so effortlessly, so easily. But you are now clear to have the discernment. Okay, is that thought mine? Is that authentically mine? Or is it a construct that we are programmed to? Do I have to think that thought or not? We get to experience this choice, something that we feel so overpowered with that we don't. And because we feel that we don't have choice,
Yeah.
we force through life.
Yeah. And so I just yawned because I'm clearing. I was telling I was telling Judy that where so, oftentimes with the way that we're raised and we're programmed, we have all of these kind of looping thoughts. And Judy has really beautiful language around all of this, but to make it as basic as possible, we have these looping thoughts. And it's like a constant conversation with yourself that you think you're having with yourself. That is not a conversation that you're having with yourself
No.
because yourself doesn't have conversations with themselves. It's all about command and creation. That's it. There's no there's no back and forth. There's not this inner dialogue. And
No,
there's no inner dialogue. And I mean, when I tell you that I've had an inner dialogue my entire life, and it was a conversation, is this true? What do I, maybe it's, and we're taught in school how to foment that and propagate. And it's not that like you said, it's not like even we're that far off the mark. The
no,
questioning is beautiful. The exploration is beautiful. It's the way that it's been co-opted, and it's the way in which it's expressed. So now I don't have these inner dialogues. They're just gone. They're absolutely gone. And instead, it's I'm in a state of creating, and I feel it and I hear it immediately when it's been co-opted and when there's a dialogue going on, and I tell my body to release it immediately, and it just goes. It's just
and
gone.
then what you're left with is the field of infinite possibilities.
Exactly.
And
And
how does that feel?
it's so crazy. It is the most ecstatic feeling. I mean, I really feel it that way. And I want to distinguish the ecstasy of over excitability, for the record,
Mm.
to what I'm describing.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the
Yes.
retreat, and I would love to talk about it here because both of us are highly energetic people, right? I think we would say that we love to move, and my life, that's been reflected to me, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Maria has so much energy, and whether it was like she was so happy or she was so intense or whatever the story might have been, and the feeling of overexcitability, that's overwhelm, that's co-opted ecstasy. That's the power of what now I understand to be my own power that's been co-opted by something much weaker than me and amplified in a way that does not serve me
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it's fairly dysregulating.
It's very dysregulating. And it's very dysregulating because that spectrum emotion, in being in a spectrum state of being. And that's what's dysregulating. That's all. That's all.
Exactly. Exactly.
When we clear ourselves of being in a spectrum, which is what all forms of energetic interference does with us,
Yeah,
we're clear of that. We're now clear to be in our truth whole, wholeness, where there
entirely.
is nothing missing, where we are receiving everything.
And you feel like you're gliding. It just feels like you're, and it's not the floaty like dissociated kind of floating or gliding. It's a moving, and it's a wholeness. It's like this awe and wonder, this state of awe and wonder and of creation. And there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I can't express this enough. Judy said this on the retreat, and I'm sure I have said this before too. So I raise my hand as someone who has said this before, that things have to be difficult, that the difficult moments will stretch you, that it will
Mm.
feel hard and it will make you stronger. That was me being co opted
Yes,
by interference.
yes.
It is not, pain is not meant to last. It's not, you're not meant to suffer it. It doesn't have to feel hard. Sorry. And you can get emotional, you can feel these feelings. It's just
Yeah.
not, it's at a different frequency, and it, again, it doesn't take over you, right? So I love to move, and I've always loved, running. And like several weeks ago, I'm like on the subway and I see a New York Marathon sign, and I was like, I'd really love to run the marathon. That's what I thought. I would love to run the marathon. And then marathons, I kept feeling this feeling, and it was reflected to me around me. And when I got back home and the next day I woke up, I was like, I want to go for a run. And I'm a person who likes to move, but being in the state of awareness that I'm in, I can just decide, and I do. And there's never too much, and like the time doesn't feel constrained. It feels like everything is possible all the time, and everything is possible all the time. And I went for the run, and I thought, gosh, I wonder if I could run 5K today. and I have no idea what 5K is because I rarely go running.
Mm.
I very rarely go running. And I started this, I downloaded Strava, which measures your runs, and I started it. And I got home and I had run 5.7K. And it felt like I hadn't done nothing. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
throughout, I was clearing as I was
Totally.
running. It was so easy. I did it again today. I can't believe how easy running is.
Yeah.
I can't, my body doesn't hurt. I'm not experiencing any soreness, any pain, anything. There aren't words for this.
It's crazy. And it's just a simple matter of that we have been programmed to believe, in this case, pain and suffering goes together
Correct.
in all ways, in anything that we go for, not just physical like running, but in our work and earning money, building wealth, relationships, everything. We have been programmed to believe that pain and suffering is a symbiotic relationship, and they're not. They're just
No.
so not. They could not be further. Pain is just pain, it's just pain, it's just pain. Suffering is not ours, never was, never it will be. It's not authentically ours at all in any way. And when you separate that programming, you get to experience what you've just explained now about running.
And I tell you, I was running, and since I'm in this state of awareness, I don't need, we talked so much about formula on the
Oh,
retreat.
yes. Yeah.
Because if you've been watching me, you know, craft development, I love a formula, I love a formula, I love a formula. It was a total co-opting of my energy. I can't, and every it again, it's not that my work has changed. It's not like an erasure. It's a redirection into greater alignment, into greater authenticity. And I already know what that looks like, and I didn't have to look it up anywhere. And I didn't know what it looked like yesterday, for the record. And I asked, and I received the
Yes.
frequency. And then today I got it, and I wasn't worried about whether or not I was going to get it. And I know, and it's like I know, and the question of what else is possible, which Judy has taught me to ask, and then just the understanding that I know, I already know, it allows us to be available for that. So as I was running yesterday, Judy, I just said, body adjust. Any minute I felt pain, body adjust, and everything would just adjust.
Yes. Yeah.
That was it. And
Yeah.
if something came in, I said, body remove, dissolve it. This isn't mine. It
Hmm.
was it was so euphoric, but again, not overly excited. Just a whole sense of a wholeness. Just
Yeah.
it
A
was
bliss state.
a bliss
Yes.
state.
Yeah. So you are experiencing connection or the closeness of your truth as an infinite being, as an
Hmm.
infinite essence.
Hmm.
That and the ripple effect of that infiniteness, owning that, embodying that, and the expression of that is your truth 100% of the time. There is no space for, as you say, for inner dialogue. There's no space for fear. There's no space for, I don't know, I can't tell, I'm not sure.
It's
There's
gone.
no uncertainty,
None.
nothing.
No.
There's
And
just creation.
yeah, and it has, your circumstances don't get to dictate that, you know? And cognitively I understood that, but my experience of that was different. It was like constantly moving through the shame and the doubt. And when why? There's, you know, you can. Like Judy says, there's an infinite way to create anything, right? And if you want, you can muscle through it. You can,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not that we haven't created amazing things. Judy has an unbelievable life story. And I find in my life I've had created amazing things, and I've had to muscle through those things.
It's like moving through time and space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is gone. And addressing the interference, which is what Judy identifies as like the not self theme, as whatever the energy may be, and that is not your authentic truth. That has again, taken your energy and amplified it in a direction that is not you, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where we essentially become in service to other constructs, energetic blobs, as I call them.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right, we become dominated, controlled by that, so that we feel, whilst we're always sort of very close to our truth, we feel 100 million miles away because we are tethered to programming, tethered to conditioning, tethered to embodied interference that comes in through lifetimes, like the genetic programming creating the unconscious addiction to suffering, like
yes.
shame and guilt comes in through genetic programming as well, and all the things that we experience, as taught as babies before we're born, and then throughout life, that all gets embodied. But when and makes us now become in service to all of that interference, you clear that. Now you are the embodiment of your truth, the full expression of your truth. And what do you get to create in that state of being?
e- Everything. And for the record, um, it's important to note that Judy has her piece of the puzzle. This is something that we talked about on the first day.
Yes,
Judy,
we
I
did.
would love for you to share that because this, I think, is something that people get mixed up with a little bit, and it would be so valuable to hear.
So from in my model of the world, and my sort of my piece of the puzzle is that we are anatomically designed to connect to, communicate with, and create from infinite being. And we do that to the body. We're anatomically designed, not what we've been conditioned where it's all in the mind. We have become a slave to our mind instead of our being the master. So we're anatomically designed to connect, communicate, and create from infinite being with a harmonized trilogy of being. Body, being, and planet. That's what this is. Body, being is our life force energy, our life force, our essence, and the planet component part of us. When we harmonize that through clearing all the programming and energetic interference. That's when we start to create dynamically, living the fullest or true, our truth, unashamedly, unapologetically. And this whole construct that we talked about quite a bit of that came in about 100 years ago and is dominating personal development. The construct of ego is a false construct. It has misguided us, it's misled us, it has corrupted our trilogy of being and our ability to connect, communicate, and create from infinite being. All that is, if I was to describe it as succinctly as I can, it's a copy and corrupted paste of our truth that we become in service to, controlled by. It is not our truth. And it is so powerful that literally, and this has been written and researched and studied, is literally that we have 1/10,000th of a second between something happening or experiencing or thought in anything in our life and this interference identity, which the world calls ego, in claiming authorship or ownership of it. That is where we live or we act on our free will, not our authentic, not our true free will. So the work that I do in clearing interference, like with Maria, was we essentially reduce that blob so that she now has way more time, way more space to be her authentic truth and use her own authentic free will. And
Exactly.
that's the power that we have. That's moving through life with power. Wherever we're moving through life in service to this interference, we are forcing our way. It feels like treacle. Doesn't feel like flow, doesn't feel like expansive. It doesn't feel like there's nothing missing. You feel complete, you feel whole. That is the pathway to wholeness.
There's no urgency.
No.
None. There's no forcing.
Mm-mm.
None. When I tell you from, so Judy and I were together Thursday, Friday, Saturday during the day. And so Saturday morning, Sunday morning, so on the plane, I don't know where it came from again because I was asking for awareness and again, like I mean, I tend to take notes on what comes through for me. But as Judy and I have talked about a million times, and I have talked about this with my clients, it doesn't really matter actually where it came from. And actually, the more you can detach from that and say that it doesn't really matter and that you now don't need any of that anyway to move
Yep.
forward.
Yep.
So I can't really tell you where the awareness came through, but it was just clearing the urgency. I was noticing the urgency because you
Yeah.
have to think, I'm like, I want to make it to the sunrise, and I made it to the sunrise, and then I wanted to do my Pilates in the morning, and so I had to do that, and then I just had to make sure that everything was right in the apartment, and then I had to make it to the, and I wanted to get a smoothie before I went to the airport. You can imagine how much urgency came up,
Yes. Before 8:30 in the morning.
right? All before 8:30 in the morning, and we might normalize this. People
Yes.
normalize it all the time.
Yeah.
They normalize it all the time, as though the urgency is what's going to help you create. Absolutely not.
It's an illusion.
It's an absolute illusion. It has nothing to do with urgency or force.
Yeah.
And I was clearing and clearing and clearing every single time I felt any urgency. I'm on the plane, the Wi-Fi wasn't showing up. Urgency, clear it, right? And so for me, that I want to reflect this. I'm getting the awareness to share it because that's a very acute form of interference that you can notice within yourself. Something else that Judy and I kind of was revealed on this amazing retreat, right? Because again, we couldn't have planned it. It came
No.
through. Was that one form of interference that I had that was, again, interference, co-opting my energy. And as Judy says, giving me what I want. Like there's a payout. Like it's not personal. It doesn't care about me, but I get a good feeling, but then it takes what it
There's
wants, which is
there's
my
a
energy.
cost.
There's
Yeah.
always a cost. So one of the interference was um, the awareness, infinite levels of self-awareness, but don't release it. Don't release it. And I think this is common. A lot of people will be like, but I understand everything about myself and nothing seems to change, you know? And so it's like being self-aware and being self-aware and being self-aware, and you feel so accomplished from being self-aware. But then in order to make changes, it's treacle, like Judy says. You
Yes.
have to force yourself out because your energy's caught up in this loop of self-awareness. And when we cleared that, it was I had infinite access to whatever it was that I
That
was
was a
looking.
huge one.
It was a really big
That's
one.
huge. And one of the reasons for that is that we are programmed to consume knowledge.
Oh, and not only that, but like at least for me, my mind was celebrated. I loved my mind. Everyone
Yes.
else
That's
loved
really
my
good.
mind,
That's really,
right?
really good. Yes.
Everybody loved my mind. I was so smart and, like I just as a brilliant student and this and that. Everybody, and the words that I share and the way that I did and the way that I studied and the papers that I wrote and all the things that I did were so celebrated. And so we get caught up in this mentalizing
Yes. Yeah.
and the mentalizing and the mentalizing and the mentalizing. And it's a construct. Again, it's very common, but we're programmed at a young age to be like very attached to the mentalizing of life.
Yeah. We put the mind on the pedestal when
Mhm.
actual fact the mind is the servant, right?
Yeah,
So we put the mind as on a pedestal because we're being controlled to everything. We're controlled what to think, how to learn, and rather than to receive,
hmm
body, and move on that information, on that awareness, on our truth. We instead put the mind on the pedestal, and
yeah,
that then keeps us addicted to the known. And being addicted to the known is not the realm of magic and miracles. It's,
absolutely not.
it's the realm of predictability, of everything being the same, of more of the same. Going from 2 points of consciousness, time and space,
Linearity.
linear. Everything is linear. Got to rush, got to rush, got to rush. There's urgency. But when you let go of all that, here's the extraordinary thing that happens. And you will relate to this. There's an extraordinary thing that happens is that you expand so much in space and time. You are space and time. And everything expands with your expansion. And without urgency, without the rush, without the linear perspective of time, you get everything and more. And you experience everything and more as if you were building the cortisol and the stress and the anxiety of moving through space and time with urgency.
I
You
mean,
get to create effortlessly.
and I experienced that with running. For that was like a good example these past couple of
Totally.
days.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't I think people might think this would be impossible. You know, just impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it happened, you know? You know, how is it that I can run for an hour nonstop at a pace I didn't know I possibly could have? And for the record, I mean, I'm a person who is, you know, fairly fit and I stay in shape, but I will go through periods in which I work out very little. And I'm in this resting, I'm like resting because my cortisol will be too high or something like that. And I had just come off of a period. I hadn't lifted weights or done anything outside of Pilates for weeks, really. And I
Yeah.
certainly hadn't done cardio, you know, because I don't do it. And it was just a collapsing of time in the physiological way, like in the way
Yes.
that people say can't possibly happen. Um, and there was something else that you said that I wanted to speak on, which was that the expanding of space and time and being like kind of beyond the mind. I have entered transcendent states. I do that every day. I know how to be in bliss states and I go into altered states for my healings all the time. All the time. And it was always about how do I optimize the in between? Because when I'm in a healing with someone, it's beautiful and I'm in that place, right? In that
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
But it was always coming out of that place, you know? What do I do in between? What do I do with myself? Actually, and there are a lot of people who are in do healing work and in personal development who experience this.
Yes.
I was able to experience what it felt like to be truly beyond the mind. Like I don't have to wrestle with anything. And again, I've been in states where I've been in ecstatic states after sessions, between sessions, whatever it may be, but it still felt like some things still felt like treacle. Some of the things that I was really interfered around, right?
Yeah.
That had a lot of interference around still felt tight. There wasn't.
Stress. Yes.
Yeah, and so you go back to your mind and you find a new formula and there's more urgency and things need to happen, right? And now there's just none of it.
No, you could, because you get to a place where you understand that none of it matters. It doesn't matter. The formulas, the strategies, none of that matters. None of it. We have access to all knowledge, all wisdom, all intelligence that ever has been, is, or ever will be. And we have access to it through our body. It's all about who we are in what we do and how we do it. And the more of who we are, our truth, the more we are the fullest expression of our truth. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. As I say to Maria, as I've said it to a few people, I could be in a room speaking about the flavors of cookies, and they will still get the energetic shifts that they came for, because it's not about what I say or do or nothing. It's about who I am. It's about who we all are. And that's what creates the ripple effect. That's when we become energy providers that draws to us everything without having to move through space and time.
Mm-mm. And it is so beautiful. It is, and I want to say this because I consider myself someone who can detach with perhaps more ease than others. You know,
Yeah.
if we're gonna go there, right?
Yeah.
Um, I delight in it, right? And we have a very intimate relationship with our feelings as human beings. A very cozy, intimate relationship with our emotions.
We do.
We
Yes.
do. And we think that if we let it all go and we truly surrender, that somehow you won't have those feelings. And let me tell you something. have cried many times on the retreat since the retreat. But the depth of the feeling, it's really mine. And it's not sadness, it's not grief. It's like it takes on a different, it's
Yeah.
yours. It's like authentically yours, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And I apologize to anyone here if the words aren't as clear because they're still kind of percolating, right?
Yeah. Still integrating.
100% still integrating.
Yeah. So what happens is that this interference identity, this blob that we're in service to, it makes us feel precious, like Smiggl's mind seed is mine. It's mine.
Mine, it's
Let's
my
protect it.
ring. It's
Yes.
mine.
It's like it makes us feel that we must protect it. It's ours. We must hold on to it. So we will, it makes us fight for our limitations, even though we know it is not our highest good, even though we know this is not, this is not serving. We know it, but we are so trapped in that tether to that interference that our free will is consumed in there. It's
Yeah.
interfered with free will. It's not our, we don't have access to that. And you just like, you can see it, you can touch it, you can smell your truth, but you can't get to it until you
Yeah.
clear that embodied
And
interference.
and how many times, Judy, did I say, "Ooh, I feel defensiveness come up"?
Yes.
I mean, and and again, you have to be committed to the path, and I want different words. I want different words because commitment is like, you know, and devoted is also a little.
Yeah.
It's
You have to really fall
it
in
does have to
love
be a,
with
yeah, with the
extraordinary.
process. Yes,
Yeah.
falling in love with the process. It has to be of value to you. That's what was coming through. It
Yeah.
has to be of value to you because that is how you're able to transcend
Yes.
everything that you've known before,
Yeah.
right? And so something would come up, right, in this exploration and in the clearings, and I would and Judy would ask me a question to define whether or not it was really my authentic truth or something else, which is interference. And I would say, "Hold on." Give me a second. And I'd clear. And I want to go in this something else. It's not me, but I could feel a grip. This righteous self-righteousness.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
We
mine.
want to hold on to that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like when we were exploring craft, for example.
Yes.
And I told her, Judy, hold on. Slow down. Give me a minute. You know? Because I was feeling defensive. Like and again, it wasn't me. There was defensiveness looping in
Yes.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
It wasn't
defensiveness
your
looping.
truth.
It was not my truth. It was not my truth, you know?
Yeah.
And it was my willingness to say that for the love of the path, for the 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 value of this type of life, of this type of expression allowed me to
Yes.
remain in a state of honesty, right? And like deliberate honesty. Um
Intentional.
intentional.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was beautiful. It was by no means easy. And
Mm.
again, when I tell you there's nothing here. I mean, I have a launch coming up very soon, next week, and I have to go through every single piece of my content and my entire the thing that I'm going to offer. And it's not like an, oh no, I'm going to have to go. It's not, there's none of it. There's none of it. There's none, oh, I won't know what's going to happen. Who am I going to, what am I going to say? And there's none of it. It's not there because there's no doubt because I'm me now.
Yes.
And so
Everything's possible.
everything is possible. So of course I'll go and be like, "Ooh, what's possible? What can I do? What can be created here when I'm editing the content?" And it's not a flushing. It's not like a flushing down the toilet, but there's if there is a flushing, there's it doesn't matter if there is or if there isn't. Either it doesn't matter. And this is when people think of freedom, this is what this is freedom.
It is. And it's not passing. It's
No.
it's it's sustained. It's
It's a
done.
sustained sense of freedom.
Because we cleared stuff going back so many years in your
Oh
life,
yeah. And
right?
things that, for the record, I did not even consider.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who has like very um kind of like has many textbook traumatic experiences, right? Like,
Hmm.
you know, um and this was one I literally had not even thought about.
No.
It was the interference was so insidious that I glossed over it.
Through all of your work, all of your journey.
Decades. I studied therapy. I coached. I've been in the spiritual space for 11 years, sort of going on 12. Like, yeah, it's not because I didn't try.
It was just so masked by
It
interference.
was so masked. And then once we got to it, I said, "Oh my God." And I hadn't even made the connection, right? Between the age and what had happened and like the quality of what had happened. And I thought, oh my God. And there's a reason sometimes you feel that there's something there that you don't, there's something there that's not right, and people will dig and they'll dig and they'll dig.
Mm.
And you do dig, you do have to dig, but you have to release it. You must let it go. And sometimes we need support with that. There's just
Yes.
sometimes we need support with that. Judy and I talked about that too. She said to me, if Maria, if at any point you decide that you don't want to clear anymore, because it'll happen. You and Tiny said there will be a time we're eating dinner. You said you're gonna say, "No, I'm done. I am over it. I'm complete." That is when you pick up the phone and you box her Judy immediately, and you say, "Help! Help!"
Because sometimes when you're the water boiling, you can't control the temperature. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it is a journey. When people start working with me, is a journey where I clear the embodied interference.
yeah,
Well, because here's the thing, interference ages us. It creates inflammation in our body. It creates migraines. It creates menopause symptoms. It creates everything that we know of. It's all energetic interference. It's
correct.
not yours, never will be. It's not authentic. I mean, the whole aging process is an illusion. We don't, as much as you commanded body to run effortlessly for 5 miles or 5 kilometers.
No, no, but it went beyond that. Like
Right.
it was like, yeah. So
As much as you command that, we command a clear and a body of homeostasis in homeostasis. We get to control everything in our body. When we control everything in our body, which is anatomically designed to connect, communicate, and create from an infinite being, we experience the ultimate sense of freedom.
entirely, entirely, and something that came through with Judy. So I have, well, I used to have kind of chronic pain in certain areas of my body, and um, I told Judy if I were less of like a go-getter type of person, you might see me. I mean, 10 years ago, I was going to every doctor I could find. 15 years ago, I was going to every doctor I could find to figure this out. I had all kinds of stuff, and everyone, the Hashimoto's this and this and that, and like and pain and scoliosis and this and a car accident and the misalignment and the spine and the blah and the years of this.
Mm.
I mean, scoliosis, I was a kid, right? And that is the source of all the pain and all the disorder and everything. When Judy said that is interference, it's keeping you distracted. When I tell you how that pain disappeared, it is astonishing
Yeah.
how we will dance around the truth. And I'm kind of beyond words in this moment for how expansive and life altering my 3 days with Judy were. And and also, I might add, Judy and I have been working together since the end of September, so October, right? And we both agreed I wasn't ready until March.
Yes. It was perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. Having that time to work with you and
Yeah.
having the time to, and life move through me and me move through life or whatever it was. And then when we met, it was perfection. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so there is a journey there, right? It arriving at your awareness, being with your being is it can happen instantaneously, and it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't either,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally. It's totally, absolutely. It's literally, everything is what it appears to be. Nothing is what it appears to be. It's
Yeah,
letting go of everything because none of it matters. None of it matters.
none of it. It in and we just had the most powerful conversation and um around that and balance that was so life altering and just letting go of what it means to create good or bad and
Yes.
recognizing your judgments around any and all of it is
Mm.
so powerful. It will catapult you so, so, so far beyond what you think is possible.
Yeah.
So, Judy, can you talk a little bit about your event and your
Yeah.
masterclass? And I'm going to
Thanks,
share the
Maria.
the link in the
So
comments.
on tomorrow, we've got this two-part masterclass coming up, and it's free, called Pathway to Wholeness, and it's talking about all the ways in which to use Maria's word, co-opt to something else that gets us to respond and show up in life that detracts us and keeps us limited and separate from our authentic truth. my I'm going to go into health. I'm going to go into the truth about health, the truth about trauma, what we know and understand about trauma, PTSD, all of that is not what it appears to be. It's never the experience, it's the narrative. And I'm going to go into that. I'm going to explore that, and we're going to clear that stuff out. We're going to go into health, trauma. We're going to go into wholeness. We're going to go into prosperity. We're going to look at all the ways in which these interference blobs take our energy. Because for just about every single person I've ever worked with, the first thing I do is clear interference energies that are sapping life force energy from you. And when I say everybody, when they first work with me, have some between 96 and 99% of their life force energy taken over by interference energy. They have between 95 and 98% of their control taken out by interference energy. And that's the first thing that I clear. And that's when you start to see possibilities. That's when you start to see, whoa, I don't have to think like that. I don't have to do that. I don't have to be that. I don't have to respond in that way. I don't have to react in that. I don't have to see things in that way. There's a whole new life that opens up in front of you. And we're going to explore all of that over the next 2 days. Plus, I'll be doing activations where I will show you how you are anatomically designed to connect, communicate, and create from infinite being. And that's an extraordinary experience. So I really appreciate you
Yeah, don't
talking
miss
about this
out,
room.
y'all. Oh my gosh, you guys do not miss out. This Judy is the most powerful mentor I've ever had. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say it lately at all. And anyone who's in my world knows I don't say that lately. So learning from her is such an honor and a gift. And I can only hope that more people get access to your teachings and your work. Um, so thank you
Thank you,
so
Maria.
much,
Thank
Judy,
you so
for
much. And
I
thank
love
you
you
so
so.
much. I love this. I really do appreciate you inviting me on this to talk about this. Thank you for sharing your journey with
Oh,
this.
as I said, it 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 doesn't have to be mine, and it also doesn't have to not be mine. So it can be of service. You know? The
Yeah.
story can be of service, and so I yield it, and I surrender it here, and I love sharing with you and being with you. So thank you for joining me too.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, everybody, I'm going to log us off and end the video. We'll see you all later.
Bye.